Alright, Spider-Man 2 has been out for almost a week now. I maxed the game out to 100% last night, so I gotta talk about some spoilers in the story. So that is a spoiler warning. I'm gonna be talking about the spoilers not only in the main story, but in some of the side quests as well. And some extra stuff like suits and collectibles and all that. So if you don't want those spoilers, you probably should not watch this video. If you know them or you don't care, then stick around. Alright, that's your warning. Let's swing in. Now, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to the story of this game, because it's about 18 hours long. Of course, I'm not gonna talk about everything, but I'm sure this video is still gonna be pretty long. I mean, even where the game starts with the Sandman fight, I was like, okay, this is awesome, already throwing the unexpected at us. I did know that Sandman was gonna be in the game, but I didn't know that fighting him was gonna be the first thing we do. And it was a really cool way to start it off. Peter and Miles are swinging around the giant Sandman and throwing the boulders back at him. Definitely reminded me of Spider-Man 3, not just the movie, but the game back in the day, because I had it for the Nintendo Wii. That was my childhood Spider-Man game. And it also obviously had some Sandman fights since Sandman was in the movie. But getting back to this game though, of course, the Sandman leads to a side quest where you're collecting the memories. That was nice. Moving on though, before I get to Kraven or Venom, can I talk about the scene with Black Cat and the Wand of Watum, where you're going through portals? I was like, this is borrowing from Doctor Strange's world, which is awesome. I didn't see it coming, plus the fact that Black Cat is voiced by Erica Lindbeck, aka Futaba from Persona 5. Love that, cause I love her and I love Futaba. But yeah, this whole part with Black Cat and the wand made me think one thing. Can we get a Doctor Strange game from Insomniac Games? Cause holy shit would that be awesome. I know they're already working on Wolverine, and I'm sure that game's gonna be badass, but think of the possibilities with Doctor Strange. So yeah, now I want that more than anything. Let's make that happen, Insomniac, please. Alright, now that we're done with that, let's talk about Kraven the Hunter. So his motivation in this game is that he wants to find his equal, if not someone who's better than him. He ultimately wants to meet his death at the hands of a stronger being. I imagine it's because he's so good at what he does that he's gotten bored with his life. He's kind of like Sherlock Holmes, but instead of being smarter than everyone else, he's more skilled and stronger than everyone else. Which honestly you can pick apart, because you're like, well then why hasn't he taken on the Avengers? Because we know that the Avengers do exist in this universe, and I'm sure they'd have no problem defeating Kraven, but whatever, it's fiction, I'll roll with it. We do find out that Kraven has killed a couple of Spidey's villains. I mean, we get the scene where he kills Scorpion. So Scorpion's dead, then we learn later on that he killed Shocker and Vulture, which means yes, with the black suit in this game, there's no scene that harkens back to the 90s series where he's like, Shocker! Yeah, I wanted that too, but oh well. But that does establish that Kraven the Hunter means business. He was really cool in this game, and I'm glad he finally got a mulligan. It took long enough. It was overdue. But now jumping over to the symbiote and Harry Osborn, because yeah, going off what we learned from the first game's post-credit scene, the symbiote is what's curing Harry of his illness. Which I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw that post-credit scene, it made me think, is the symbiote like something that Oscorp invented in this universe? Because, you know, it's in an Oscorp tank. I wouldn't have been opposed to that. That would have been an interesting take on the symbiote. But no, in this game, when you're walking through the EMF, the Emily May Foundation, you see the meteorite. Right there, I was like, okay, so yeah, this is an alien symbiote. As it always is. Alright, cool. And so Harry Osborn has the symbiote, and he starts feeling really good. In fact, he starts having superpowers. The symbiote actually starts off as a really cool suit on Harry that reminds me of the Agent Venom outfit. And he and Peter and MJ go on a mission to fight Kraven's goons together. And I thought it was pretty cool. I was like, alright, that's a really fresh new take on the Venom saga in this game. Although, of course, the red flags start coming up pretty early on, because Harry's like, this is awesome, I'm having so much fun with my new powers just destroying everything. And Peter's like, dude, alright, chill. You're still getting used to this new power, take it one step at a time. But then Kraven the Hunter shows up, he and Peter get into a scuffle, and he ends up stabbing him pretty fatally, which I was like, oh shit. And it looks like he's gonna die, but then I was like, oh no, wait a minute. This is where the symbiote's gonna transfer over to him. Yeah, I thought that was really clever, because it's gonna heal his wound, and there you go, now he's in the black suit. And from there, it creates a really interesting dynamic between Peter and Harry. Because, like in Spider-Man 3, Peter's growing really attached to the symbiote. He might as well have said, this is something else. And so for the next chunk of the game, you're going around in the black suit with these awesome new symbiote abilities. I love the one where you jump up and go BAM! Yeah, the L1 and X one. That one's my favorite. And you have a fight against the lizard, which the lizard is designed in this game is fucking sweet. I just love it when the designs are so monstrous and beast-like, because they're like something out of an old horror movie. And the lizard in this game straight up reminded me of Killer Croc from the Batman Arkham games, which is never a bad thing. But yeah, Peter starts becoming a douchebag to everybody. He's rejecting MJ and Miles Morales and his mother, and most importantly, Harry Osborn. Because now Harry is succumbing back into his illness, so he's like, I need that symbiote back. back, but at this point, Peter has become so bonded with the symbiote that he doesn't want to let it go. Even Norman Osborn's like, yeah, Harry needs it back, but I'll try to come up with another cure. And so Peter's like, well, okay, Norman's gonna try to come up with another cure. He doesn't need the symbiote. I want it. Yeah, Peter's being a douchebag. It was hard to play as him during those scenes, I'm not gonna lie. Because I was like, I don't agree with what you're doing, but I'm playing as you. That was good. But from there, we jump over to Miles Morales, who has been captured by Kraven the Hunter. And so you have the whole scene where Miles wakes up in Kraven's lair, pretty much, and he's going throughout the place, and ultimately he is forced to fight Martin Lee, Mr. Negative, to the death. Because we saw earlier in the game that Martin Lee was captured by Kraven. Apparently, Kraven is keeping all these villains and superpowered people in his lair because he wants to see who's the strongest. So he has Miles Morales fight Mr. Negative, which is great because Miles has a beef with him, a very understandable one at that because he killed his father. But Martin Lee has served his time and he does have his regrets for sure. And so you have a fight against Mr. Negative. That whole confrontation was very well done, very well written. Visually, of course, just great because it throws it back to the first game with the whole Mr. Negative entering the mind's subconscious thing. Again, didn't see that coming. That was cool. There's a lot in this game I didn't see coming though, to be fair. But the fight ends ultimately with Miles helping Lee escape from there, and he's like, go get Peter, he'll rescue me. And so he does. Peter shows up in the black suit, and you finally have a fight against Kraven. And really, this is where you first start hearing the symbiote's voice, the Tony Todd voice. Because Peter and the symbiote are becoming so bonded, you hear the voice is like, and so Peter almost does. He does almost kill Kraven, and Miles has to stop him, and now you have a Miles versus Peter fight. You're playing as Miles Morales, and you're fighting Peter Parker in the black suit, and the dramatic music's kicking on. You're like, this is intense, and this is where Miles convinces Peter to finally get rid of the symbiote. You see him ripping it off. I mean, it's straight out of Spider-Man 3, especially like where he's ripping it off his chest. That's right out of the movie. I get it though. It's a really cool visual. So alright, Peter finally got the symbiote off, and they go to Oscorp to destroy it, but Harry Osborn's there and he intercepts them, and he gets the symbiote back, but instead of just getting his armored suit like he originally had, the symbiote is now pissed off, and Harry Osborn becomes Venom. I'll be honest, I knew Harry Osborn was gonna be Venom for like months. Since they said, oh, it's not gonna be Eddie Brock, I was like, alright, well, what's the next most obvious choice? Oh, well, Harry Osborn, he's with the symbiote already, and he's been morally ambiguous in previous Spider-Man lore, so have Harry Osborn become Venom. That's a pretty cool take on it. Yeah. And man, I'm telling you, Venom, like I said, I love this take on Venom a lot. Because Harry Osborn becomes Venom, and then you actually get some time where you play as them. Yeah, you're playing as Venom, and you're going around Oscorp, and you are just slaughtering these Oscorp security guards. In fact, I'm pretty sure you're straight up killing them. Because you have finishers where you're impaling them, you're breaking their backs. I was like, holy shit, this is such a treat. And you get to play as Venom for what feels like, 20, 30 minutes? It's the Venom Rampage, man. You break out of Oscorp, you're in Times Square, and Kraven the Hunter shows up, and that look on his face is like, yes, this is the beast I've been looking for. You have a Venom versus Kraven fight, which ends the best way I could have asked for, honestly. Venom gets the best of Kraven, and Kraven's like, thank you. And I'm not gonna lie to you, this is one of my favorite scenes in the game. Because not only does Venom kill Kraven here, but he does it by chopping his fucking head off. When that happened, I was like, I was speechless. Right there, I was like, this might just be the best take on Venom I've ever seen. So yeah, Kraven's dead because Venom bit his head off. I hope that tasted good. So we learned that the symbiote's ultimate goal is to, quote unquote, heal the world by just taking it over and turning everyone into symbiotes. And we see the symbiote is now taking over New York City. We see this place looks just, oh my goodness. How is New York gonna come back from this, honestly? These symbiote vines and tendrils are going all over the buildings everywhere. Poor New York, man. There's so much shit that happens to the city in this game. From the Sandman attack to the big boat incident and all the Venom shit. It's just, yeah. I'm just ready for the League of Assassins to come in and put the nail on the coffin. Then Venom turns Mary Jane into Scream. When she came up from behind the desk and I saw the long hair, I was like, holy shit, it's fucking Scream. Again, another thing I did not see coming at all. Really, this whole last part of the game is just one shock after another. You have a Spider-Man versus Scream fight where it's Mary Jane and their whole emotional battle, which is also very well done, very well written. Which also, talking about Mary Jane, the way you're playing as her in this game in the stealth missions where you have that sonic gun, whatever that is, and she's being like the unofficial third member of this Spidey team, it looked like it was setting her up to be Spider-Woman because she has been Spider-Woman in the comics before. before. And I was thinking, okay, Spider-Man, the first game had just Peter, and then you had Miles Morales. Spider-Man 2 has 2 Spider-Men. So is Spider-Man 3 gonna have 3 Spider people? So who's the third one gonna be? Well, it could be Mary Jane Spider-Woman. They could go that route, although this game's post-credit scene probably begs to differ. I'll get to that. But then after the Scream fight, you have the scene where Miles and Mr. Negative go into Peter's head because there's still a little bit of symbiote left in there, and they end up bringing out the Anti-Venom suit. I was like, oh, holy shit, it's Anti-Venom. That's awesome. So now we have the final fight against Venom, where Peter's in the Anti-Venom suit, Miles has his own weird-looking suit that I'm not a huge fan of, if I'm being honest. And in this final fight at Midtown High, where he lifts the whole school up into the air and Venom grows fucking wings, I was like, whoa, never seen that before. That's new. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen Venom with wings before like that. That is metal. Seriously, that looks like something right out of an 80s rock album cover. I love it. And so ultimately you win the fight, you defeat Venom, you heal the city, and Harry goes back into a coma. Poor Harry. And so now we're in the epilogue of the main story. We get the scene where Norman's throwing a hissy fit because he blames Spider-Man for the trouble with Harry. Kind of a flip situation from the Raimi movies. And he makes a phone call. I'm not sure who he's calling, but he's like, get the G serum ready. I was like, I knew it! I knew they were saving Green Goblin for the final chapter. That is brilliant, because that is ultimately the best of Spider-Man's villains in this trilogy. First game, you had Doc Ock and the Sinister Six. Second game, you have Kraven the Hunter and Venom. Then for the third game, bring in the ultimate nemesis, the Green Goblin. Perfect. Because yeah, Norman Osborn's been a character that's been set up since the first game. So now for the final chapter, let's finally make him the Green Goblin. Just mwah. That's gonna be epic. And finally, in the game's post-credits scene is with Miles and his mother. And throughout the game, we've known that Rio Morales has been seeing someone new. And so the guy comes over and I was kind of concerned. I was like, who is it gonna be? Turns out his name is Albert Moon. And I was like, oh, Moon. And sure enough, he introduces his daughter. I was like, Cindy Moon. So yeah, I guess for the third game, they're bringing in Silk, who's a really cool character. And I'm glad we're finally gonna get to see her in something other than a comic, because I don't think we have yet. And I've been ready for that to happen, so yay. So it looks like instead of MJ Spider-Woman, it looks like Silk is gonna be the third Spider-Person in Spider-Man 3. Maybe, I don't know, but that's cool. Bring on Silk, I'm ready, let's do it. So that is the main story of the game. Pretty sweet, right? But now touching on some side quests here, because really the main one I want to talk about is the Flame one. You meet back up with Yuri from the first game, who has become Wraith, and you're taking on these cultists who are just out of their minds and nuts, with their leader being the craziest of them all. And the side quest ends with him getting his hands on a symbiote, and the way he's looking at it and he has the red hair, I was like, holy shit, that's Cletus Cassidy. Sure enough, he's like, when the Crimson Hour rolls over the earth, it will bring truth, judgment, and carnage. I was like, oh my god, yeah, they're doing Carnage. Awesome. Y'all know how much I love Carnage. Let's bring him on in the third game. My only thing is, though, is that it looks like he's probably just gonna be a side quest in the third game, which, alright. I would prefer him to have a bigger part of the story, but I do understand, you know, they did the whole symbiote thing in this game. The third game shouldn't repeat that, so yeah, let's just make Carnage a side quest. I get it. That's still really cool, though, and I can't wait to see Insomniac's take on Carnage. Cause yeah, this Cletus Cassidy is pretty nuts. I love it. We see in another one of the side quests that Chameleon was Kraven's brother, and so I guess he's gonna be in the third game as well. That's pretty cool. And also the quest with all the spider bots. You find these spider bots all over the city that have designs like Spider-Man characters. They're actually really cool. And in the end, it ties in with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, because this portal opens up. I was like, holy shit, so this is how it's gonna tie in. Well, not really. You just see this bartender and she's like, I'll take those bots off your hands. And if Miguel comes looking for him, tell him finders keepers, and Spider-Man's like, who's Miguel? I was like, I know who Miguel is. I know. That was pretty sweet. The last thing I'm going to talk about is my favorite suits in the game. For Miles Morales, it's the Forever suit. That awesome Black Panther one, that's a great tribute to Chadwick Boseman. I got emotional upon seeing that for the first time. I like the Wolverine suit too. For Peter, it has to be the new red and blue suit, the suit from the end of Spider-Man No Way Home. Because now I can live the moments after that movie where he's just Peter Parker going throughout the city stopping crime in that new suit. That also made me emotional. So, in conclusion, I gotta say, 2023 has brought us some of the best Spider-Man stories we've probably ever seen. With Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and now Spider-Man 2. I love the story in this game. I can't wait to see where it goes. Is there gonna be DLC? What games are we gonna get next? How's Wolverine gonna be? That's gonna be badass. Because that's gonna take place in this universe, right? I'm pretty sure. So much awesome to look forward to. So much to love about this game. So what are your favorite scenes in this game? Favorite scenes, favorite side quests, favorite suit? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And of course, thank you for subscribing.